Well, yes, indeed. You asked for it, and now you have it. So we remember this particular video. So have a look at this one.
It's often funny to hear that you are talking down on people simply because you don't agree. You don't have to agree with everything anybody says. No, you don't have to. But it doesn't tantamount to talking down on anybody. It was just an irritation. It was just an irritation. And some people just want to cause irritation in the country. And what I'd like to say is that when things boil over, they boil over because you continue to hit them. And when you see pockets of heating up in the country all over the place, eventually they culminate in a heating up, in a boiling over. So Nigerians need to know that the country we get is what we use our own hands to build.
Okay, well, there was actually other parts where, of course, it's a longer interview. So he did speak about the protest that interview was on the 6th of August, actually. Well, he joins us this morning, Mr. Femi Adesina, to give some perspective on that. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, there was a lot of hoopla about what happened at that point in time. So people thought, whoa, wait a minute, they're really minutes into it, even though, yes, it was eventually put out that that interview did happen on the 6th of August when we were discussing the Revolution Now protest. And albeit they still thought that the way it came out, well, some just wouldn't have it. What's your reaction to all that has been happening on social media about that particular video and the protests?
Well, let me start by saying thank you to Channels TV for being so very professional, for being fair-minded, because when some people doctored that video and made it look as if it was a fresh interview, Channels came out to clarify the situation, that it was indeed an old interview, and put out a date that it was August 6th this year. So thank you, Channels, for fair-mindedness and for professionalism. Then the fact that some people doctored a video recorded on August 6th and made it look like something contemporary shows the times and seasons and the milieu in which we live is a milieu of falsehood, of misinformation, of disinformation, of generating hate against other people. And it's very sad and unfortunate.
But as it turns out now, putting him back in this particular context, because they all seem to be so concerned about the current state of the protest, which is SARS, SWAT, so different acronyms come up at different times. So what is your impression about the ones going on now?
Well, we are in a democracy. And in a democracy, protests will always be legitimate. But protests must also stay within the bounds of legality. If protests don't lead to anarchy and mayhem, they're okay. But when they verge on anarchy and mayhem, no serious government, no self-respecting government, no government worth its salt will allow that happen. So far, so good. The protests are going on well. Nothing wrong. But when they border on criminality, of course, then the law enforcement agencies will not sit by idling. So far, law enforcement agents are doing well according to the order and rules of engagement they have. If the protests continue to stay within the bounds of legality, there may not be cause to change the order of engagement and rules of engagement they have. And I pray it doesn't change till this ends.
Should the police be told to move against, for instance, those who were seen with cudgels? I'm just asking, should the police wait to be told, or should they be even told to move against those who are going in there violently to attack people, destroy property? Because some of them are described as the pro-SARS protesters, as it were, even hoodlums who infiltrate the protest. They shouldn't be told, should they?
No, I don't know about that. I don't know about pro-SARS or anti-SARS or anything. Protests are protests. But for every outing, the police have their rules of engagement issued by their superior authorities. They must act within those rules of engagement. That's what matters.
Mr. Adesina, on the side, it will look like the way you are positioned now is the same way you were positioned in that other video. It's like what you were wearing now looked at what you were wearing at the time. So I hope
No,
you still don't get the same.
not exactly. Not exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm in my living room, yes, I sat in this same place.
Exactly. Yeah.
This was not what I wore.
Yeah, but okay, but seriously speaking, now I think one of the issues here now is communication of the actions of government over time.
Yeah.
Consequently, a lot of distrust has built up over time, and that's why it would seem like all the efforts that government has taken so far isn't, isn't telling on the activities of the protesters. Peaceful, coordinated, well organized, and all of that. What do you think the people need to get about what actions government has taken that they are not? Because it doesn't seem to the protesters as if this is going to go anywhere. Let me use their term. It's audio promise. How do you put it? How do you respond?
Well, those who say that will have a right to their opinion. But according to the press reports you just had before this interview started, you see that even the original founders of the SARS protest are beginning to change their minds and opinions about what is happening now. Because apparently it is veering off the original intention. It's not unlikely that some people are cashing in on it to do some other things. But we know that in Nigeria, we have a government that is trusted. If President Buhari is not trusted, he would not have been re-elected just about a year ago. Those who are protesting have a right to it, but their right does not preclude the rights of 13, 15 million Nigerians who voted in the president. So that's one thing we should know, that where their own rights stop is where the rights of other people begin. All those 13, 15 million people who voted have a right and they have a say in Nigeria. You see that from time to time, their hashtag changes. At times, end SARS, and then you begin to see end the government. Buhari must resign and all that. Does that happen in a democracy? It doesn't. It doesn't happen in a democracy. And the earlier...
Adesina, just one moment. Yes, better. Just one moment. But I don't know if you're also aware that many of the people who voted for the president are also disappointed that things are not happening as quickly as they want. So they are also looking to some activity that will convince them that they voted right.
That position is not scientific. It's not scientific, except you come out with false-figure statistics and you say, these are the numbers. That is when we can believe it. It's not scientific. It could be a conjecture. Yes, but then there will always be people who want quick fixes. And there are certain things in which quick fixes don't work. Governance is one of it. You don't wave a magic wand. You don't wave the magic wand and things change overnight. Some things are processes and procedures. And unless you follow those processes and procedures, they will not happen. And that is what the people should realize. But in terms of loyal followers of the president, they're there. In their many
just to be clear, when you say that position is not scientific, pardon me, are you saying that all those that voted for the president, all the supporters of the president, are happy with the way the government is handling this, with the response the government has given, with the activities of the SARS that eventually led to this protest? Is that what you're saying?
You know that in life, as you go along, some will drop out, but many more will come in. That is what is happening. Some will drop out, others will come in. So unless you do a scientific study, you cannot prove that many more who voted for the president have dropped out than than the numbers of people that have come in.
No, this is not about dropping out or dropping in. We're talking about, reform of the police, the end SARS protest, the fact that these young Nigerians are not happy with the status quo hitherto, with the way, they have been treated by the police, and of course, wider issues like unemployment, the state of the economy. So those are the issues. This is not about people dropping out. This is about what they can see and what they are saying about it. We've had members of your party voice their concerns about this also. So when you say this is not scientific, it's a bit, I wonder how you mean that. But also, I'd like to, talking about this protest, these protesters say they don't have a head. They say they don't have leaders, that this is just young people coming together to voice their concerns. So I'm thinking, how is the government engaging them specifically? How are you engaging them? If they say they have no head, what ways are you engaging them?
You can see the various levels and theaters of engagement that have come up since this started. The president himself, in his speech, said they were raising genuine concerns, and that the dissolution of SARS is the first step in comprehensive reforms that will come. When the president of the country, the father of the nation, has said that, what else do you expect? He said, this is just the first step. Many more will come. And we have seen things happening. Their 5-point demand, a meeting was conveyed between civil society and the IG, and the presidential panel accepted the 5-point demand. And then you see SARS replaced by SWAT, and the conditions for being a member of SWAT were spelled out yesterday. Engagements are going on. If some people now say, well, we don't trust this engagement, you don't then have to upturn the society because of that. You will have a right to your opinion, you will have a say, but the majority will have their way in the country with law and order. And this is a country with law and order.
Right. So do you still see any reason for the protests to continue today?
I'm not one of the organizers. It is the organizers who will determine whether they want to continue or not. But as long as they do whatever they do within the bounds of the law and within the bounds of order, within the bounds of decency, there will be nothing wrong with it. They will determine when they want to end it.
All right, then. We do thank you for your thoughts this morning, Mr. Femi Adesina, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity.